Well, hello everyone, welcome back guys. Hope you all are doing well, and today I'm gonna showcase a tool named as LFIMAP. And I personally see this tool building every day, every week, every month, getting new features and getting better. So a good tool is something which gets updated frequently, and most importantly, it should not have the compatibility issues, and you can even use it on industry standard. So with this tool, I will use two more tools, and my purpose will be to show you how a methodology built and why these tools play a very important role. But first of all, I want to tell you guys, before running any tool, you must know what you actually want to do and why do you need a tool. Let's say why we use SQL why we use GoBuster, okay, why we use Nmap. So that should be very clear in your mind, that what tool you need to use in what situation to perform what task. Fine. So you must have a strong understanding and a good platform of fundamentals and a good grip on your tools or gears. So you should know at what time what tool should be used. So let's assume you are testing an enterprise level domain, and we all know that it could have too many subdomains. So in that case, what tool you will use and how you will use to get the desired result, that is most important. Another example, we can say you are testing an ERP solution that contains thousands of links for accessing different locations and different features of the application, and you also want to know which link use which method of HTTP, like whether it's using get method, post method, put or option, and whatever. So similarly, sometimes you also want to know that what are the requests you have out there, those are using non-standard HTTP headers. And a very little example, suppose you have a subnet and you want to know what are the hosts alive in that subnet. So in that case, you need a tool to automate all these processes, because with manual approach you may need to give a lot of time, and time is everything. So in those cases you need a tool which can automate your task. So the most important part is, even if you got millions of tools in your hand, and you only have the desired and fruitful result if you know the tactics, techniques, and procedure. So this is very, very important. The tool I'm going to showcase today is a very good tool for PHP applications to test LFI, local file inclusion, remote file inclusion, command injection. You can also test remote code execution, cross-site scripting, and SQL injection attack. You can test all these. This tool actually is still developing. So in coming months or in coming years, you will see this tool has a very good reputation in the market. The person who built this tool, his name is Matteo, and he is developing this tool very frequently. Before, I know that this tool has only functionality to test against local file inclusion and remote file inclusion, but now today it has many more functionality and it's still in the development phase. Let's go. Today we have the scenario like we have a application, PHP application, web application. This is deliberately vulnerable application to test, and this is introduced by Acunetics. In this testing phase, what I am gonna do in this application, I want to look at every single URL that contains parameter, and using any method of HTTP, whether it is get or post or anything, but I want to grab all the links that contains parameters. Second, after collecting all those URLs, I'm going to test each URL or each link one by one. Then we will see how much time it will take to test manually, and hence we will automate that process. So again, you must have prior knowledge about tools you are going to use and what actually you are asking to the tool to do for you. So that's been said, let's go. And here you can search this tool as LFIMAP. So here I already open it. Now you can install this tool also, but here I'm going to just clone the repository to run this tool. Come here and I'm going to set it a bit, and let's see, git clone and paste the URL, hit enter. Then the second tool I'm going to take again from the same GitHub account, but the tool name is mparse. So come here, and here I'm going to say git clone and paste the URL. Not this. This is for LFIMAP. This one, mparse. Copy the link. Come here, paste it, hit enter, and it is super easy to execute, super easy to run. Now git clone. Again, the third tool I'm going to use is the parameter spider, which will automate the task to collect all the links that contains parameters. So because a lot of time, if you go manually, you will open the page source, and from the page source you will see what are the links there, and you will then one by one check all the links that contains the parameter, and you note it down. That takes a lot of time. So I'm going to automate that process also with this tool. Super handy and very useful. So we have all three repository with us. So I'm going to say cd LFIMAP, and then I'm going to give the execution permission to that LFIMAP.py clear cd clear, yeah, okay, and come back here, cd mparse and chmod plus x mparse.py and clear it. Similarly, come here, cd parameter spider chmod plus x and paramspider.py. Clear, fine. So we are in these directories. Now let's see, we first go to that application and let's try to search something. Let's try to search just A, and once we hit enter, here you see we got some images. So I'm going to click it, open it in a new tab, come to the new tab here, and as you can see that contains a parameter and it is calling a file which is JPG file. That means with this parameter it is going to ask for file, and then it's rendering that here on the browser. So we can read files maybe. Let's see. And I'm not going to read the system file, because maybe sometimes you don't have access to other directories, so you can read only files from the same directory from where the application is running. So you can see here this is search.php. So let's try to read this file. But first of all, what I'm going to do here, let's say search.php, hit enter, and this error you are seeing here because the application is expecting JPG file or image file, but the file you are asking to the application to render here is PHP file. Now I'm going to enable the burp proxy on my browser, and I already open up the burp proxy. Now I'm going to just hit enter one more time and we get the request here. Now if we open this request and we see the response closely, you will see you have the PHP content, and those contents belongs to this search.php. Now to prove it, whether it's search.php content or any other content, we can again go back here. From here we can right click and send this request to the repeater, go to the repeater, and instead of search.php I can say pictures/1.php, which we call before from the browser, right? So just send this request, and once you send this request, we got error. Why? Because maybe I write something wrong. So pictures, oh sorry, not one.php, it's one.jpg. Yeah, send this request again, and you can see here this is the jpg file, jfif. So, and these are the content of jpg file. But once we say search.php, search.php and send this request, we get the PHP content which belongs to search.php. That means LFI vulnerability exists. We will again test this vulnerability with the LFIMAP. But before going to LFIMAP, as I mentioned, we must know how to use that tool. So come to the README section, and here you can read. So what are the features here? So it builds on Python 3 for web application, especially PHP web applications. And you can test LFI, RFI, command injection, remote code execution, SQLi, and XSS also. So these are the main features. You can go and read all these. You can also install this tool instead of getting the repo. You can install this tool on your machine. The mandatory parameters here, hyphen uppercase U if you want to specify a particular URL, and if you have a list of URLs which you want to test, so you can just specify hyphen uppercase F to specify the file name with the path. General options, so space hyphen uppercase C, which means cookie. So you can specify the cookie also. And why it is very important sometimes to put the cookie, because these cookies actually tells the web server about your authorization. So suppose a lot of features are there, and approximately every feature of the application you can access after you log in. So once you log in and your authentication, you prove your identity with the password, username and password, the server will give you one token or one session ID, and that session ID tell the server that this user have these all the authorizations to access these all the resources. And if you want to access a resource on which you don't have authorization, so server will identify that with your cookie. Fine. Space hyphen D, so do HTTP post value, and here you can specify the parameter and set the parameter value as PWN. Whatever parameter you want to test, you put the value PWN in, and in that way the tool will know that okay, you want to test this parameter. Headers, space hyphen uppercase H. This is also very important. A lot of time once you see if there is any non-HTTP when there is any non-standard HTTP header, same like X forwarded for, there are a lot of non-standard HTTP header. So if you want to test against that, you can also specify that. And if you want LFI tool traffic go through your proxy, so you can specify hyphen uppercase P, and you have to specify the URL of your proxy. It could be Burp Suite or Zap or any other proxy. Now you can also specify user agent, referrer and all. And this is the most important part here, attack type or attack techniques. You can specify for which attack technique you are going to test. Fine. So as you can see, if you just in the PHP actually filters and wrappers are there. So if you want to use filters, you can specify hyphen F. If you want to use input wrapper, you can specify I. If you want data wrapper, you can specify hyphen D. Similarly, if you want to test RFI, you can specify hyphen R. And if you want to test the command injection or command execution, you can specify hyphen C and put the command. And if the command is successful, then of course you will go for the reverse shell, and in the same command or in the same way you can after command you can specify your attack box IP and the port on which you want the reverse shell. So if you want to test XSS, you can test it like this. If you want Sqli, you can test it with this switch. And if you want all the attack techniques against a target, you can test it with by specifying -a. Fine. And there are word list options. You can specify as you want according to your requirement. -v for the verbosity. And if you want to see the switches, you can go for -help or -h. Fine. There are some examples. You can follow these examples. As you can see here, it's specifying the cookie and it's testing all the vulnerabilities or attack type. Fine. So similarly, space -d for the post request. Okay. So let's go. Now we will go and we will test first against a single URL. So let's say LFIMAP space let's say -U for the URL, and the URL I'm going to test what we test here, and we will see whether it's giving us the good result or not. So just paste that, but instead of this I'm gonna say PWN. So in that way this LFIMAP tool will know that okay, I need to test this parameter. Now I'm going to say okay, test all possible attack type and also all possible attack type and space -v for the verbosity, and hit enter. Because we are going to test Sqli also, so it's asking for that. Say yes and let it run now. So that's been said, let this one run, and we are going to now follow the methodology that we need to collect all the links that contains parameter, and for this we are going to use parameter spider. And how we will use it, let's say parameter spider space -h. Let's see what are the switches there. We need to specify the domain, and rest of the things it will do it from itself, and it will check each page recursively and get each link, and whatever link contains the parameter it will bring for us. And I'm going to use space -o to save the result in output file. Clear this, and now here I'm just gonna specify space -d, and it is gonna be test.php.vulnweb.com, and then I'm gonna save the result in output file. Let's say all_url.text. Hit enter, and as we hit enter, it brings us all the possible URLs which contain parameter, and automatically it set the value of all the parameters is fuzz. Fine. Now there is a directory output, and inside that directory our file is saved. So clear that, ls space -la. So there is output directory, and cd output, clear ls space -la, and we have this all urls.text. Now if you need to be sure, just access this, and we have all this. Now I want to see how many URLs in this file. So I'm gonna pipe it with wc space -l to count the lines, and you can see there are 28 URLs. But these URLs, maybe some URLs are duplicate in the file. There may be duplicacy. So to filter all the links to get only the unique URLs list, we are going to use this mparse tool, mparse.py space -h. This is very little tool, but very useful. And against bug bounty, you can use the same methodology, but the condition should be the same, right? Okay, so there are few useful switches for now, which is space -f, space -g, and space -p. So let's see. What I am going to do here is mparse, and I'm going to actually, first of all, I'm gonna cat one directory back, means now I am in the I'm in this directory. Okay, and in this directory there is param spider directory. Inside it there is output, and inside this output directory we have all the URLs file. So, and I'm gonna pipe it with mparse.py and specify it with the space -g switch, hit enter, and here you can see we got all the parameters we have. Second use, if I specify here space -p, hit enter, so now we have all the unique URLs. So first of all, I'm going to save all these in a file, let's say urls.txt, and hit enter. Now cat urls.txt, and I want to pipe it with wc space -l to count the lines, hit enter, and now you can compare both of the results. So you can see here, now we have only 21 links in the file. Before we have 28 URLs, now we have only 21. And here our LFIMAP also finished the testing on this particular URL for this particular parameter. So what it detects, first of all, testing for information disclosure, the server and its version, on which platform or on which language it's built, and it's vulnerable to local file inclusion as we tested manually with the burp suite. Fine, and it's reading the show image.php, this file. Fine, because normally you cannot actually read this file through the web application. Fine, so now we are ready, our URL list is ready, so I'm gonna clear it, and now let's pass this list to the LFIMAP. And here we go. So LFIMAP .py space uppercase F, because now we are going to pass the file instead of URL, and the file come one directory back, means on this directory. Now inside this directory we have mparse directory. Inside mparse directory we have the file urls.txt, and then instead of testing against all the attack technique, we are going to choose one technique in one time, because if we choose all the techniques in one time, it is going to take a lot of time, and I would suggest you can test it on your end. But here my purpose is to just show you the features and how effective this tool is. So let's say space -f to just test the LFI, and -- param, which is going to be fuzz. Why? Because here all the parameter values set to fuzz, not PWN. So if I say cat urls.txt, you can see all the parameter values set to, no, it's set to pawn. Here it's set to fuzz. Cat all text URL, yeah, here it set to fuzz, but once we use the mparse, it's set to pawn. And why? Because both of the tools belongs to the same person or same author. So for the compatibility match, it make like this. Okay, so well and good. Now we will put PWN, that's it, and just hit enter. That's it. Now it's testing one by one. How many 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. I'm going to pause the video and I'll come back once it's finished. Welcome back. So approximately it is about to finish. Now among all these URLs, there is one vulnerability found known as open redirect. If we set the parameter R value to let's say google.com or some other domain, so it will redirect us to there. So let's test this. I'm going to copy this link, come here, paste it here, and instead of pwn I'm gonna say http colon or https colon / google.com. Hit enter, and as you can see we come to google.com. So this is the open redirect vulnerability. The next vulnerability is LFI, and this we already test manually, and that was the vulnerability. So now totally it found it test against 90 endpoints and request sent 229, and it found 2 vulnerabilities. Fine. If you want more detail, you can also specify here space -v for the verbosity, and it will give you more detailed result. Okay, now next thing, I'm going to test against XSS. So -XSS, which is cross-site scripting, and let's see. So the very first, because of unsanitized reflection, this URL may be possibly vulnerable to cross-site scripting. Also, there are a bunch of this one is not accessible, and done. So again, it scanned or tested 19 endpoints and request sent 40 requests, and vulnerability found 7. Means there are 7 endpoints where it found vulnerabilities. So this is the last one. Cause is same. Let's test it. Let's see whether it's actually vulnerable or the tool gave us false positive result. So I'm going to copy selection, come back to the browser and paste that. Fine, and hit enter, and yeah, that's perfect. We got XSS. Fine, that means it's giving us good results. Let's test one more. Let's test this one. Copy, go back to the browser and paste it, hit enter, and yeah, we got the XSS. So we tested XSS with this tool also. Let's try Sqli, but Sqli is a bit time consuming, so we will see. It's asking for, okay, so now you see Sqli is always time consuming because it has to run a lot of syntaxes and a lot of requests. Why not we try something through the proxy? So space -P, and our proxy address is 127.0.0.1, port number 8080, and just put it in the quotes and hit enter, and let's say yes and hit enter, and go to the burp proxy, go to the proxy, and here you can see we got all the traffic, and it's testing by sending different syntaxes or different queries. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll come back once it get few results. Not all, but few, because for all it is going to take too much time. Well guys, as you can see here, we got this endpoint which is vulnerable to SQL injection. And as you can see, the column returned by the query executing from the application are 3. So 3 columns are the return column, and this is going to be the syntax for the SQL injection. So I hope you understand, I hope you enjoy, and I hope that that tool will help you sometime. So test it in your lab environment. I tested it on the Hack the Box machines. I tested that one on Try Hack Me. I tested some other vulnerable applications like DVWA, and I tested it with other applications too. So each time I test this tool, and if there is vulnerability, if there is any chance, it give a good result. So that's it for this video. If you like the content, please like, subscribe and share. See you in the next video. Bye.